Everybody, welcome to the Red Devil Experience. My name is Eric. Hope everybody is doing well. We got the latest Manchester United breaking news. We're going to be talking transfer news. We're going to be talking Rúben Amorim. We're going to be shifting gears. Now it's been a couple days after the Liverpool win at Anfield. The United win versus Liverpool at Anfield. We're going to be talking about Brighton. We're going to be talking about what the match is going to be looking like. What that's going to sort of entail. Can we get 3 wins on the bounce? Have we been given sort of a new hope? I think we still need to wait. I think we still need to take things week by week, but we're going to talk about this sort of stuff. Delit coming out, having some words. I think Lemons has said a couple things, so we're going to cover a broad bunch of stuff today on the show. Please make sure you smash the like button, whether you're watching it live or you're watching it after. Make sure you get that done. It is important to the channel. It helps us get pushed out there. It helps us get seen more. So that's a massive help. Make sure you get that done. And thank you. Also, we're on our way to 3,500 subscribers. We're at 3,220. If you enjoyed the content, you're new, you just found a nice new home, we welcome you here. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit the notification bell icon so you get notified when we go live and you don't miss the show. But I'm gonna just get straight into, let's start going this way and then we'll go a different way. But let's talk a little bit about Brighton, since that is the match coming up, and there is a lot of things that have big knock-on effects in this match. So one of them obviously is, this is our head-to-head record versus Brighton in the last 6 meetings in the Premier League. It is not a good one for Manchester United. It is not a good one for if you are a betting man and you like to do trends and recent, sort of performances and results. We have won once out of the last 6 meetings in the Premier League versus Brighton. So again, this isn't going to be a walk in the park. We do need to win. We need to win. Rúben needs the win. Manchester United need the win. We need this win. We need to go out there and we got to get this win. Not just for the points, not just because we're Manchester United and it's home, but also, like I said at the end of the Liverpool match when we did the Red Devil recap, we can't let the result of the Liverpool match be for nothing, because if we don't go out and win against Brighton at home, then we've won the Liverpool match for basically almost nothing. I mean, it's not totally nothing. Some things have come out of that, but it's 2 on the bounce. We got 3 points in a place that many didn't expect us to get the 3 plays. Can we continue this trend? I mean, nobody expected us to really beat Liverpool. We haven't won there in 9 years. We hadn't won 2 matches on the bounce. And we're going into another match where we have struggled in recent years to get a performance. And hopefully we go and we sort of break this bad trend for us, this bad routine of playing Brighton and getting beat. It could be a tough match. It could be a difficult one. It might be one where, we don't necessarily play the best. But at this point in time, I want the team to go out. I want the team to grind results. I don't really care too much about if it's the most scintillating display we've ever seen. It just has to be good enough to get 3 points. It just has to be good enough to get a win. I want this team, I want the squad, I want United to carry momentum. I want us to go on a little bit of a run. It's about time. And I think the opportunity really is now. And we've been here before. And the fan base is a little bit, and rightfully so. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of the fan base. I've been listening to a lot of different channels, trying to gauge basically the overall opinion of the fan base. The fan base is all over the place in terms of there's only certain people that go and view other channels and view certain channels. So I try to listen to a little bit of everything and try to gauge kind of what the United fans are kind of saying. And the majority of us have been right to point out and say, listen, we've been here before. We've been here before. We've done this too many times to count on one hand, yeah? Where we get a result where against a big team where maybe we're not expected to, Even though some of us, do say now that we usually do turn up for the big matches, it's the little matches. But we've been in this place where we go and get this sort of result that many don't think we're going to get. We end up getting it, and we go into the next match and we throw it all away. We kind of did it that one time when Ollie was in charge where we beat City. And so we stopped them from winning the league immediately, but then we won in the next match and we took a L, and basically they won the league because of it. So it was all for nothing. Yeah, we done it then. We did it under Ten Hag, and hopefully we don't do it under Rúben this time around. So Lumens here says big up. Says it's time we beat Brighton. Yeah, it is. It's time we beat Brighton. And you know what? Let me bring a couple more stats into this so we can really gauge like how both teams are performing, and and we could really like sort of break it down on a better point. Yeah. So just give me a second while I pull this up. So individual team streaks. This is not correlated to United playing against Brighton. This is just both teams are kind of on and going through at the moment, at this time. Brighton have no losses in 5, but they also have no clean sheet in 3, which means that while they are winning their matches, there's definitely goals. We can definitely go and get a goal. They're not doing defensive master classes, so that's a positive in our camp. We're home. We have home advantage. And Brighton are, 3 matches without a clean sheet. So we should be able to exploit that for at least a goal. Now, both United and Brighton individually, in 6 out of the 7 last matches United have played, there has been at least 3 goals in the game. In Brighton's 7 out of their 8 last matches, there has been at least 3 goals in the game. So based off of both teams kind of trending what they're doing, I mean, both are kind of scoring, but both are also kind of conceding to a certain degree. This should be good. The other stat that goes hand in hand with that is 6 out of 8 of United's last matches, both teams have scored. And in 6 out of 7 last matches for Brighton, both teams have scored. So again, I think, if we get a clean sheet out of this, I'll be a bit surprised, but I think it'll be huge if we could do that. But if we don't, we should be able to compete in this match. We should be able to win this match. We should be able to score. We should be able to probably get over 1 goal. And I think if we could get 2 or 3, I think we'll be good. I think we'll be fine, and we'll get through this. But head to head, Brighton has had no clean sheet in 4 against us. But they have been the first to score 4 out of the 5 last times we played each other. So, and head-to-head matches, we've played them 10 times in total. They actually have a better record than us head-to-head. They have beaten us 6 times. We have beaten them 4, and we have never drawed against each other. So, last season, we lost to them twice. They did the double over us. The season before that, they did the double. They did not do the double overs. They beat us once in the beginning of the season, and we beat them when we played away. They beat us home. And the season before that, I believe we played them 3 times. We played them 3 times because of the FA Cup, and in the Prem, they beat us 1-0 at home, and they beat us 2. Brighton was at home, and when we were at home, they beat us 2-1, and we beat them in the FA Cup on penalties after the match drew 0-0. So, I think for this match specifically, we got to go out there and we got to get the job done. Rúben Amorim's had some comments after, the Liverpool match, and not directly after the Liverpool match, but it was sort of like later on or the day after. Where he's basically ripped up, the celebration book in terms, and I agree with him doing this. I think it's the right move. He essentially, and I'm paraphrasing here, he basically said, we're only as good as our last win, to quote Sir Alex Ferguson, but that's essentially what he said, in his own words, because, we're as great as our last win. I mean, we beat Liverpool. We're moving on. It's this week's going kind of fast. We're getting closer to the match. It's already Wednesday. In a couple days' time, we'll be playing this match, and we need to go out there and get this win, because if it doesn't happen, I mean, it's really gonna, I mean, and vice versa, because I said if we go out and win this Brighton game, it makes the Liverpool match, it makes the Liverpool win a lot bigger than it already is. So we need to go out there and do that. I want to talk a couple points as well. And the fact that, I think him bringing in Lemons and starting Lemons and getting him in there is huge. And I know it's only been 2 games, and I'm trying not to get too carried away with the whole Lemons thing, but I think it's made a huge difference in the back. I think his figure, his presence there is making a huge impact defensively, but also just team-wise. I mean, he is, we've talked about his calmness, we've talked about how he looks when he's in goal, but there is this sort of feeling that he has brung to the pitch with this calm, cool collectedness that he has. He also doesn't overcomplicate things. I think potentially right now, based off of what I've seen from him in 2 games at Manchester United, and the second one is away from home at Anfield in the biggest match that you play all year round, I think that with Lemons in goal, we potentially have gotten somebody that might be absolutely perfect for what this squad has been missing and what the squad needs. Because it's just, sometimes our players like to overcomplicate things. Sometimes our team likes to overcomplicate things. We don't really necessarily need, at this moment in time, we don't need flashy players to a certain extent. We don't need luxuries. We need guys that do the basics and the simples stuff, game in, game out, week in, week out, and that don't overcomplicate things, and that they keep a calm, cool head, are positive, and are strong in their performances. And Lemons is that guy. I mean, he doesn't mess around with the ball in his feet. His kicking is spot on. And it has been spot on. I like his long kicks, distributions. They're pinpoint accurate. They're very good. His presence in goal is just, it's a total different feeling with him back there. Honestly, I'm kind of afraid to quote him like this, but he does feel sort of like a baby Courtois of some sort. And I'm not saying that, like, he's on the level of Courtois. What I'm saying is, when you look at Courtois, the presence that he has, he's a big guy, yeah, coupled with the ability, and he just seems like a solid wall back there. Now, I expected at some point he's going to make a mistake. Something bad's going to happen. He almost kind of did one in the Liverpool match of the ball. He kind of misjudged it a little bit, but he did good to catch it, and he did good to make sure that it wasn't a mistake. But we all said this, all good goalkeepers make mistakes. It's about how you deal with them when it happens, which I will be looking for when it does happen, because I expect it to happen. He's a young guy. He's a bit inexperienced. He's going to have to grow. He's got a lot to learn still. But the freshness that he has introduced, and you have to give Amorim credit, because the reason why you have to give Amorim credit, in my opinion, is because we know by now, he's been here for almost a year, he can be very stubborn, or he is a stubborn man about many things, especially if he truly believes, which I still respect, because if you have certain ideals and you have certain beliefs, you shouldn't really flip-flop with them, especially if you still believe in them. You carry on with your ideals and your beliefs, and then, if you assess and you feel like you need to change, after some point you change, but you shouldn't be flip-flopping every week. You shouldn't be, at the first sort of moment of trouble, run away from it. And Rúben doesn't do that. But knowing how Rúben is, I mean, Rúben didn't have to put Lemons in. Some people will argue he did, because Biender's performances, but in reality, he didn't have to, in that he could have just chose to stick with Biender. He could have just chose to continue being stubborn and say, I'm not going to play this kid yet. I'm going to play Biender because I don't trust him. So he's made that change, and we talked about this a few weeks ago about how he needs to start doing a little bit of something with the personnel to give something to the fans. And I think this move with Lemons is benefiting him immensely right now because Lemons is doing quite good. The fans are enjoying it. I think he's made a big help to the defensive line and to the team just in terms of confidence and calmness and a little bit more stability. I think that the defensive line has a lot more trust in this kid, and it shows. I mean, they show it. They might not come out directly and tell you, yeah, Onana made me a nervous wreck and Lemons, but you could tell by the way that they are supporting him. When he makes a big save, they're all running over to him, giving him a pat on the back, letting him know he's doing a good job. So there's just a different feeling about it. There is. And, you know, directly or indirectly, the players as well. They might not necessarily be thinking about it constantly. It might be sort of subconscious, but you can tell by the way that they react to him and the way that they're interacting with him. They do rate this guy. They've had some time to see him in training and stuff like that. I'm sure he's done quite well in training per the reports of what we got before he actually started. And I think they like him because people like people that are good at things. Yeah. People like, especially if you're working with people, you know, if somebody is good at what they do, you're kind of going to gravitate towards them a little bit more than if somebody is not really good because they're kind of a pain in the ass to deal with. And I think with Lemons, I think they already like him because I think they like what they see from him. So they trust him. You know, whereas Onana, they never really did trust him. Richard's here, says, well, yes, but our next 3 games are very important. Well, I'm going to talk about that as well. I mean, you know, every match that we play, Richard, I would say is very important because we have to take this on a week-by-week basis, and we need to pretty much try and win as many matches, you know, as we can. So we technically have to be going in every match and saying, all right, it's a new week, new match. We got to win this match, and we got to take it match by match. But, I mean, listen, Brighton at home, I think we need, you know, we have to go do a job. If we're going to have something out of this season, we got to carry this momentum forward. We got to go out. We got to not let this Liverpool result kind of be for nothing. We got to capitalize on top of it, especially the way this league is going. This league, I mean, it's very tight right now, and no team per se, most of them are not really, it's not like they're constantly winning. I mean, there is going to be room where teams are going to drop points, especially the ones that are above us right now, and it can make some room, and we have to be there to seize the opportunity. We have to be there to seize the moment. And too many times where we've gone into a match and we like throw the match away or we blow the match, and then the other results follow, and you'll have like whoever's above us, like Chelsea or something like that, they'll end up dropping points on that day, and we have failed to capitalize because if we just got the job done and got 3 points, we would move significantly up the table. And then when we do decide to actually win the match, then the other teams get back in form or they start stringing a couple runs together, and it makes it quite difficult for us to ever really move out of the position that we need to move out of. So Richard says, Vitek on loan at Bristol managed to concede only 1 last night, while his goal was peppered. Bristol City won 3-1. Well, that's good. Again, I've been hearing a lot of good things about Vitek. I think they do. I think they rate him highly at Manchester United. I just think that, you know, he probably needs experience, more game experience. And, I mean, he's getting it right now. And I guess we'll see, you know, what's in store. I know the goalkeeping situation is a bit different than, because it's a very hard position to get game time in. So, you know, if Lemons stays the way Lemons is right now, I wouldn't even be so pressed, or I wouldn't mind if we end up sending Vitek out on loan again, because I kind of feel like for a goalkeeper, it's better for you to actually be starting and playing a full season than him kind of being on the bench and trying to rival Lemons. If anything, I think for the goalkeeping situation currently at the moment, considering that Heaton is going to retire and Binder we do need to get rid of, we should probably be looking for some sort of an experienced goalkeeper. He doesn't have to be super, super old, but a little bit on the older side and kind of just okay with sort of being a backup to Lemons, just in case something happens to Lemons. And let Vitek continue to develop, because I think it's better if Vitek actually plays full seasons. Because you know, if you pit Vitek up against Lemons and you say, I don't know, Vitek loses the battle, he's just gonna be unused. Really, I mean, he'll play maybe in the under 21s or something like that. But why would you want him playing in the under 21s when you can send him to a team like Bristol City or something like that, and he could be playing what I consider a higher level than the youth team. So Lyle's here as well. Says, hey, Eric and all you Reds. How you doing, Lyle? Hope everything is good. How you guys feeling now that it's been a couple days after, you know, the Liverpool match and the win at Anfield? You know, you guys are already focused on Brighton. Have you been thinking anything after the match that maybe, you know, it took you a couple days to digest? Because there's been a couple things for me. And I'm gonna, you know, I'll speak on them in a little bit. Richard says, "Here's my problem. Vitek is twice the keeper as Lemons is." What? I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I mean, it could very well be. I don't know. I don't really, you know, I'm not watching Bristol. I'm not watching his performances there, and I don't really watch the youth matches, so I can't really say. That would be my determination for when and if he gets the opportunity to be in the first team and play first team matches. That's when I would assess him. I mean, I had to do the same for Lemons because I knew nothing about him, and I never watched him play, and I'm not the guy to really watch clips, especially if he's covering from the Belgium league. I waited for him to get, so far I like what I see from him. I think his introduction has been really good to the team, and hopefully it continues on and it carries on. Elias says, optimistic that we continue. I think that's sort of the feeling. You know, Richard says we must push on. Well, I would give Harry another year. I would too. We're going to talk about Harry as well in a second, because after the Liverpool match, there was a piece of information that came out that said Harry Maguire would be willing to take a pay cut. We've spoken about this a lot on the channel, here and there randomly, but just, you know, some of our community don't see a point in keeping Harry Maguire or would like to move Harry Maguire on. And some of us have been saying that, you know, we see some good qualities in Maguire, and if he takes a pay cut, I mean, it's not the worst. And also, you know, to use him as a squad player, I don't think it could necessarily hurt. And that's still my opinion. It's still my opinion. I think, you know, it really, if he's willing to take a pay cut and it's around 100 grand and you give him a 1-2 year contract or something like that, I think I think it's not a bad thing to do. And I'd be okay with it. And, you know, there's been a lot of talk about Harry Maguire because of the winning goal. And, you know, a lot of people talking about sort of his journey. I mean, Fabrizio Romano kind of did like a whole expose. It wasn't really an expose, but he dedicated like a full lengthy paragraph post to Harry Maguire to just kind of give him flowers for his, you know, path that he's gone through at his time in Manchester United, where it really was bad. And I did like what Fabrizio said, because Fabrizio is kind of a neutral in this sort of standpoint, and he pointed out many of the things that we kind of been saying to a certain extent, that, like, you know, the guy might not be the quickest. He's getting older, so he's technically getting slower. But listen, I mean, he had a rough, like, 2-3 years in the beginning of Manchester United. He lost the captaincy. He never made it really about himself. He never caused really a problem or anything like that. He never went public with anything like. All the guy did was keep his head down and kept putting in work, and kept pushing and going on the pitch and actually, like, making performances happen, which is all we really ask for from our players. And you have to kind of admire that. I feel like the ones that refuse to sort of acknowledge that are just the ones that, I don't know, they're kind of like two types of people. They're either just really agenda driven, and they refuse to just give any acknowledgement to the guy, because if you do, then you sort of have to admit that you were wrong. I mean, I've said on this show and on this channel many a times, I was one of the people that heavily criticized Maguire. Um, and I would talk a lot of shit about him, about how he would never get better, and how he was absolutely awful, and how he was a clown. Um, because at that time he was. Um, literally, I mean, like every performance he came on, it was an utter disaster. He was always doing something. He was always getting clipped up for just looking absolutely horrible on the pitch. But he turned it around, and I'm happy he turned it around. You know, I'm not here sitting here saying Maguire, Maguire, Maguire. I think when you look at the fan base, most fans are not, they're not moaning about Maguire. They don't really care. You know, it's not like how it was before. And it's because Maguire's putting in good performances and nobody's really bothered anymore, because that's all we wanted. That's all we wanted. All we want is good performances. I mean, you could do it for any player, really. It's not just about Maguire. It's about any player at our team, at our club, in our squad. They could be horrible. If they start putting in good performances, people are going to get off of their backs, because all we want is for them to actually perform and do well for the team. So, Richard says, for a long time we have used Harry as a whipping boy, but let's face it, he has pulled us out of a few holes. He has. And he's redeemed himself. He has redeemed himself. And Richard says, I include myself. I've criticized Harry, but he has been a dedicated servant. And listen, there's nothing wrong that we criticized him at that point, because it was well deserved. And I'm talking about real criticism. I'm not talking about sending death threats to him, or, you know, doing a fake bomb call to his house, which is despicable. And that actually happened. That's why I'm saying it. You know, nobody should feel really ashamed if you were one of those people at that time that we criticized him heavily, because the criticism was warranted. I mean, he was horrible. He was really bad. But in my opinion, to be a real fan and to be a true person is to say, well, that was sort of in the past. It's changed now, and you give credit when it's due, when they earn it. And he's earned it for me, and he's earned my respect as well, because I've seen players that, like Sancho, being, bigged up, and everybody calls him a baller, and they think he's the next superstar of the world, and he's come in and he had a tough time, sort of like Maguire, and then you see how they handle that situation and how they respond, and to me it's like night and day. And for a player like Sancho, I can never respect that. I don't care what your name is and who you've sort of done. If you act like that, you'll never have my respect, and you can never really get it back, because I mean, look where he is. He's not at the club. He's gone, and rightfully so. And then you see Maguire, and you see the opposite, and you see how he handled it through everything he went. And he never made it bigger than himself. He never went at the club. He never attacked managers. He never did a public standoff. He never leaked stuff through his agent to try and sort of turn a narrative that he's not the problem, that it's this player's a problem, or the manager's a problem, or, if the, at the time, if the manager wasn't playing me in a 4-back, I'd be playing way better. This is on them. He just always kind of owned up to it. I mean, he talked a lot, but at the end of the day, he owned up to it. I mean, the guy lost the captaincy and still stuck around and still fought for his place. And now, like Richard's saying, I mean, he's pulled us out of a few holes. He has made some big impacts, and this sort of, I feel like if we were getting this sort of performances from Maguire, this like so far this season and last season, the season before, if we got that in the beginning of his career at Manchester United when he came in, I think all the fans would have been bigging him up like crazy, and they would have been like, look at what we got, look at what we signed. It's just that it didn't happen in those first couple of years. So, they ask, so is the 80 million justified? Lutafali, I can't even pronounce the name, but my bad. But, well, I would say this. I don't think that the 80 million pounds is justified. But the problem with the 80 million pounds, and I've always had this sort of opinion about it, I don't really think you can actually take the 80 million pounds into consideration, because it was during a period in time where Manchester United just completely overspent on players. And the 80 million pounds, you know, everybody knew when we signed him. All the United fans said it, other fans said it. He was never worth 80 million. Yeah, we should have never paid 80 million for him. It's not his fault that he got that 80 million price tag was put on him. You know, he didn't buy himself. He didn't tell Manchester United pay pay Brighton pay them 80 million. There's a Brighton. Uh Leicester, I meant. Pay them 80 million or I'm not coming. So I don't really in Maguire's situation and even the others, like even Anthony, you know, I don't really judge Anthony on the price tag that we paid for him. I just judged him based off of what he actually does on the pitch and is it good enough for week in, week out? And it wasn't, and neither was he. But you know, in that time, I mean, look at all the players we bought from Maguire and, you know, going forward. We overpaid for 99% of the players. I think the only one that we actually got good value and was a good deal was Bruno Fernandes. Every other player, we overpaid them in price tag and we overpaid in wages. So I don't really like to say, you know, has he lived up to the 80 million price tag? Because I think the 80 million price tag is fugazi. I think it's a bunch of nonsense. I think, you know, if your club is not operating properly and is not spending money properly, I don't think you should be using it as a thing to sort of judge players because it's already stacked against the player. It's already unfair. It's already not, you know, accurate to be doing that sort of stuff. You know, it's a good question because a lot of people talked about it in the past, and you know, a lot of people do like to use price tags, and I think for certain situations you can use the price tag to kind of have that discussion, but you need your football club to be making good deals and smart deals and actually, you know, level-headed deals for it to be a decently good talking point. Lyle says, no way, 80 million was too much. However, he has made the world forget about that figure in a way. Well, it's been like, you know, years now. And, you know, it's not really a talking point. I mean, how long are you going to kind of hold 80 million over the guy's head? It's been like about 5 years. So, you know, after a certain point, they're going to stop talking about it. And I mean, they have to a certain extent. But yeah, I mean, 80 million was, listen, when we signed him, I was like, I hope he does good. I hope he's big, but there's just no way he's gonna live up to 80 million. 80 million for a defender is quite high, and I know there's the Van Dijk one, but I mean, where else have you really seen that happen? It's a very rare instance sort of thing with defenders and then paying back that sort of price. I mean, 80 million for me, you're talking about a forward that's going to score you goals and basically have huge impacts every game because you need to score goals to win games. So, Richard says, well, Liverpool need to justify 105 million, but their situation is different than our situation. And this is what I'm trying to say. Their situation is different. I think with Liverpool, they are a team or a club that has been known for the past, you know, 5+ years or whatever, that they make smart decisions in buying. They buy the correct profile of players. Their club has been stable and they have been competitive. So I think it's a totally different situation. You know, when you start looking at their transfers, and especially from this season, and you're talking about, you know, Havertz for like 150 million, and you're talking about Isaac for 105 million. I mean, if they don't come good, they should definitely be a talking point. It should definitely be like, you know, they weren't worth that money. They overpaid and they also flopped. It's two totally different situations. Now, with United currently, where we are and sort of where we're moving and heading to, it has changed. And, you know, you look at the players that we're buying, you look at the players for how much we're buying, where it's a lot more normal. It's a lot more in the actual range of normalcy. You know, Cunha for 60 million and Mbeumo for about the same price. Those are like what I would like to call fair value transfers. And I think we can absolutely judge Cunha and Mbeumo on their price tag and what they do for us, you know, from now until, you know, whenever their time is up at Manchester United. So, and Sesko and, even the other ones, Ineos has done a better job in paying a better fair value for the players that we're getting in. So I think I think the fan base needs to remind themselves sometimes, or just keep it in the back of their head. We do have to kind of split that up. You might still not like Ineos. You might not want Ineos here. You might have criticisms of Ineos. That's all fine. But I think you can't really say that they're going about bringing in the same type of players and doing the same sort of transfer business that was happening pre-Ineos. It is different. And Richard says, Klopp's team no more. It's falling apart. Well, 1 year later, and we'll see what happens. Listen, I don't know. We'll see. I think it's still early. I think it's still early. I think we should be. I mean, I think people are jumping on the train right now to capitalize on the fact that Liverpool are in bad form and that they are struggling in areas. Yeah. I mean, they did buy a lot of players. It is a lot of changes. And when you do that, and we've seen this at Manchester United, it's not a quick, to use a pun here, it's not a quick slot. It's not. It's not plug and play. You can't really buy all those players that they bought and just throw them into the team and expect that it's going to become, unbeatable in the first season. I mean, even Real Madrid, when they did the Galacticos with Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Kaká, etc., it didn't click immediately. It took them a while. So, I think with Liverpool, it's the same thing. They have a squad that's sort of aging, and they bring in some players that, would look to replace them and are here for the future with the, the ages that they're at Ekatike and stuff like that. But we'll see, because they still have the guys upstairs, yeah? And the guys upstairs were a big part in Jurgen Klopp's success. And those same guys are still there, just with Arne Slot. So we'll have to see, how that really goes. But Richard says, I just hate Liverpool. No, I mean, I get it. I hate Liverpool too. I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of people sort of saying that this sort of stuff, Richard. And I think it's all good and fun, yeah, because we're having a bit of banter and we're kicking them while they're down a little bit, which is fair play because they do it to us, and everybody does it to us, and they've been doing it to us because we've been down for 12 years now, and they still kick us every opportunity they get. But I'm just saying, just keep a little bit of realism in the back of your head and remember that, it could turn around. Maybe not this season, but maybe next season it's way better. Maybe it takes him a season to sort of adjust and stuff, but maybe for this season, it is what it is. You can, Eric. It works on Football Manager. Yeah, in Football Manager, it works. Plug and play. You get the tactics, you put them in, and you go undefeated and you win the sextuple for a season, and you break all the records. It's a fantastic feeling. Nothing better in the world than loading up your first save, going undefeated and winning the sextuple. Lai also said Newcastle scammed Liverpool hard. Richard, we could be wrong, and he bangs them in, but for now it's bad. Yeah, now it's for now it's bad. And the link to United is basically the point I was trying to say is we kind of seen this, and I'm hoping that it's true for our team, because when you make big changes, there's a bit of a link here, and I'm going to try and put it together, yeah? So when Amorim, the summer before last season started, yeah? He had an interview with Liverpool Football Club, and he had an interview with, I believe it was West Ham, and they were looking to bring him in. And Liverpool did not bring him in, and it came out later on that Liverpool, the people upstairs at Liverpool, the reason why they decided not to do it was because when Rúben Amorim laid out his plan, which is the same plan that he laid out to Manchester United, basically saying, I play a 3-4-2-1, these are my ways, I will not change, and I will not create some sort of new system for the squad you have. We either make it work, or it's not going to work. And so Liverpool decided not to go with Rúben because, and the quote was that they felt like it's going to be too big of a change. It's going to be which will cost a lot of money to actually make it work. and it's a massive change. So they went with Slot because Slot fit more of the needs of the way he plays, fits more of the needs of what their squad had. Now, you fast forward a couple months after that, and we end up hiring Rúben Amorim, and he came with the same presentation that he gave to Liverpool. He gave it to us, and we decided to take it on board. And what we saw from that and what came out of that is that we had very, very, very large struggles. And, our fans and everybody was quick to point out that, hey, we've brought in a manager that's doing something totally different and basically non-existent at our football club. We've never done this. This is a big change. It's huge. It's a lot to try and sort out in the middle of a season, playing 3 weeks, playing 3 matches a week. And now we're in sort of part 2 of that in this new season. And the hope is that after all this time, it actually does come good. We have an opportunity here to sort of start feeling a little bit more like it's actually heading in that direction, because we just got our second consecutive win that we haven't been able to do since 2024. We've beaten Liverpool at Anfield. We haven't done it in 9 years. And we have an opportunity to go to 3 in a row. And we have an opportunity to keep our place high up in the table and stay competitive and stay in this sort of challenge, in that we're looking to finish in a European spot. Preferably, if England does well in the coefficients, there should be 5 Champions League spots again, which I'm banking on them to do so. So, I think there is an opportunity that now it is possibly coming to piece together. For me, I'm still a bit worried though, and I'm still a bit hesitant. I think what they need to do for me, really, because it's hard to trust this group of players. Yeah, it's hard to trust United. We've tried to trust them for so many years under different teams and different managers at this football club, and they always somehow find a way to let you down, especially when they give you the hope. At the moment when they give you the hope is when they let us down the hardest in the past, and hopefully that's not the case this time. So for me, they need to go and beat Brighton, and I'll be leaning a little bit more into, okay, this possibly is actually, we might have actually turned the corner for once now, and that this isn't, fake. And Rúben has come out and said things like this, basically, again, like, he's basically said, like, he's like, yeah, we beat Liverpool, that's all good. And, and we enjoyed it, but he's like, now we got to go and we got to focus on Brighton. And I like the message, because he's essentially telling the players, don't you dare think that you've made it. And they shouldn't be thinking that, but I feel like, there was even a report that came out that said, a couple people were stunned how reined in the celebrations in the United dressing room was after the match. And when I read that, my first initial instinct was good. Not because I don't want them to be happy and I don't want them to celebrate, getting a massive win and putting in a good performance, but I feel like in the past, with the iterations of teams and squads that we had, they would win a match like this, and it would go to their heads, and they would start thinking that they are superstars, or that they are back, or that they are champions, when in reality, you've only won 1 match. There's a whole season. You have to go do this again next week. It's not over. You can't think that you've completed the mission when you've completed, one detail of the mission. The mission is not to beat Liverpool and the season is over. The mission is to get as many points as possible and finish in the best, highest possible ranking in the table. So I like that it was reined in, because they shouldn't be getting carried away. They need to keep, we're the ones that are allowed to get carried away. We're fans. We're allowed to be as sort of extreme as we want. Because at the end of the day, the fans don't really have too much of an impact on what happens on the pitch in a certain sense. Like, you can come out and say, we're going to win the league after we beat Liverpool. What you don't want is the players to be like, we're going to win the league. Or, you know, sort of thinking that, yeah, we've done it. We've done it. We've accomplished it. We're the best again. We're back. We're the greatest. You don't want them to have that. You want them to stay level-headed. You want them to go back into the next match with the same sort of mentality that they just had in the Liverpool match, talking about, we need to get over the line. We need to do this. This is a big monumental thing at our feet, and we got to go and get over the line. Richard Acuna was excellent last week. He was. Listen, you know, he's not on the goal sheet, and I don't think I talked about it enough in the Red Devil recap, but that last 15 minutes, yeah, and I've seen a lot of people talk about this, but that last 15 sort of minutes was the reason why Amorim went for Cunha and Mbeumo, yeah? The differences in the quality between him and Mbeumo, and then when you look at who we had playing in those positions last season, they would have never held the ball up like he did. They didn't have the strength like he does. They don't have the fiery attitude, to a certain extent, mentality. I mean, that one play when he was on the sideline and he was getting absolutely attacked by like 2-3 Liverpool players. He's getting fouled, hands all over him. He's off balance. You know, I've seen United players that would have dove and went to the ground and tried to get a foul, and maybe the ref doesn't give it, and you lose the ball, and you lose the ball in a spot that you don't want to lose the ball, especially at a time in that part of the match. He didn't do that. He stood on his feet. He continued to fight. He kept the ball, and then you know, he got rid of it and gave it to one of his teammates. Little things like that are massive. I think they're highly overlooked in where we are in aspect as a team. Yeah, I think they're highly overlooked. People don't really tend to look at those things as much as I think they should, because I think they're important. They're important parts of the story, of the game, of the battle, and the dynamic of our team. Yeah, and I think this is why, you know, should we have gone and gotten two number 10s and no midfielder? No, but I still think that we should have definitely got 2 10s, because I think Mbeumo and I think Cunha are excellent acquisitions. I think they're really good, and I think it's what our team needed. It's unfortunately we didn't get the midfielder, but we should have always, you know, I chalk that down solely down to United's fault, because we should have always gotten the 2 10s and the midfielder. It shouldn't be one or the other. It shouldn't be if you get 2 10s, you can't get a midfielder. Or if you get a midfielder, you can only get 1 10. We clearly needed both. And we'll have to make do. And, you know, the midfield is still going to be one that's probably going to be talked about all season, unless we do something in January. But, you know, Lyle says Cunha has no goals and no assists, but nobody cares about that because his performance has been immense. It's again, it doesn't always have to be about scoring or assisting. And you're right, Lyle. You're absolutely 100% right. I mean, he doesn't have any goals and he doesn't have assists, and nobody really gives a shit right now because his performances are still good enough. He's still going on the pitch having a massive impact. His character and his attitude are huge on the pitch. It plays a huge part, and we've been missing these sort of things in the squad for some time now. We have been missing this, and we need this. And this is why in the beginning I was talking about Lemons, because I think Lemons has introduced that into the back. I think with Cunha and Mbeumo up top, we're getting it up there, and you have Sesko, who's trying to, you know, find his place a little bit more, and he needs to, because he's a young guy coming from the Bundesliga. It's going to take a little bit of a transition. And I think we're just like a couple pieces away. If we can add a couple more characters, if we can add a couple more players to the squad, specifically for next season, with the attitude and the mentality, and then you couple it with the physicality and the ability of Mbeumo and Cunha, and you maybe slot them in a couple different positions, maybe one in the midfield, one at wing back or something like that. The squad is totally different. It feels different. It plays different. It acts different. So, yeah, I mean, he doesn't need goals and assists right now. I mean, I would like it, and yeah, he kind of does need it because that means that we get more goals on the score line in the matches. But what I'm saying is, it's not like because he has no goals and no assists, he's still playing good. It's kind of a little bit opposite of like Bruno to a certain extent, where Bruno sometimes he plays like a shit game in terms of overall performance. It's not really that good, but the guy ends up getting a goal and an assist on the day. But the overall play wasn't really that good. Even sort of like the Liverpool match, like he got the assist. It was a fantastic, brilliant ball that he put in, and nobody can take that away from him. But there was large parts in that Liverpool match where, he got brushed off the ball quite easily, and he was quite like unsharp. The ball would go to his feet. It's rolling away from him 10 yards. He's not trapping it properly. He wasn't really alert. So it's Cunha is a little bit like the opposite of Bruno, where he's not getting a goal or an assist. And this is why people say he stat pads, but I just think it's two different things. I mean, you're still having an impact on the game. You just didn't do it for 90 minutes, so it wasn't like a full performance, but you still had a good impact on the game. Whereas Cunha, he's not getting goals and assists, but he's having an impact on the game, and on the field. And we are a different team. I mean, when he wasn't available after he got hurt against Burnley, the team just had a different feeling, and we sort of did miss a little bit. You could tell the character, the fieriness that he has, it has an impact. Just like Lemon's calmness and sort of simplicity in what he's doing has an impact. So Lyle says, two of my best mates are Liverpool fans, and they have been quiet ever since. Oh, they've been real quiet. They've been real quiet. They have nothing to say. They have nothing to say. Nothing at all. I mean, they didn't even... I tried to rage bait some of them, because I do have a few friends that are Liverpool fans. I tried to rage bait them. Not a single one of them wanted to bite on that. They didn't even want it. They just wanted... You know what they want? They want it to go away. They want it to just disappear in the background. They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to talk about it. I mean, it's an embarrassing result for them. Yeah. And it's a bad result for them. And they're not looking good. And this is what happens when you get so high and mighty. You get carried away, and you think that it's going to last forever. And United fans can teach a lot of lessons to a lot of these other football fans of other football clubs, because the way they act now, they act like United will never come back. And I highly disagree with that, because it's ingrained in our football club history, and they obviously don't know anything about our history because they're not fans of the club. So I don't really expect them to. But they act like they're going to be on top forever, and that United will be on bottom forever. And that's just not the case, because that's just not how the world works. And that's just not how society and football works. It just doesn't work like that. Everything is cycles. So we have been on the bottom, and they've been on top. But one day the chickens will come home to roost, and you will be humbled, and then you will be remembered that these things are temporary, because everything in life is temporary. And they were all high and mighty. I mean, I was listening to some of them predicting before the match, and they're talking about they were going to beat us 6-1, 6-0, that they were going to absolutely destroy us. And it didn't happen. And they've been humbled. And now they get that little bit of feeling and that little bit of remembrance that, hey, just because we've been successful doesn't mean that it's always going to continue. This shit can end. And we can go back to doing another 20-year period. So, Richard said, I watched Sunday's game with the Liverpool fan when Harry headed the goal home. It was amazing. I would have paid to see his face, Richard. I would have paid to see his face and his reactions. I've been watching that content all week. When they scored, the reactions to it, it's absolutely hilarious. The post-match reactions. Do you know that a couple of Liverpool fans actually went to Anfield? I don't know, a day or two after, and they actually hung up banners in front of on the Liverpool gate in front of Anfield that says slot out and slot get out of my club. So they've taken it well. They've taken it real well. And I have no sympathy for them at all. They deserve it. Richard says, with Lemons and Vitek, we can spend our money on a midfield next season. Well, I think we should spend the money regardless. Because I would say that we need to have a good season. We need to get back into Europe. Europe should give us money. We should be looking to sell some players that we've deemed aren't good enough or aren't what we need. We should be raising money that way. You would think that we're going to get money from Rashford. He's having a good loan out there at Barcelona. I believe Rasmus, they're looking to make it permanent, so we should be getting money from there as well. Potentially maybe a Xerxes, I don't know, but if we need a bigger squad, maybe he stays and he gets opportunities to play. And then also, I think, again, if you go and you get an experienced goalkeeper, I don't think we need to be spending so much money. I think, obviously, the main focus definitely is a midfielder, and we should be spending sort of a large sum on that area. But I think we also we definitely probably need a wing back of some sort, and we probably are going to have to be... We probably need to look to get in a center back as well. So... well, Richard has left us. Thank you for stopping by. And Lyle says, spot on, Richard. Vitek and Lemons will have a good battle for number one. Solid choices. Midfield and wingback should be invested. Slot out already. Yes, they've gone slot out. They are very angry at him. They are very angry at him. So, I don't know. It's quite funny. Quite funny. The Champions League matches has started. We'll go for a little bit longer and then we'll get out of here. But one update that we just got, Carlos Baleba has held private talks with the Brighton manager about his playing time at the club. Man United remain keen to sign him, and Buemo has been encouraging him to move to Old Trafford. And that is coming from IM Rahman Soman. Not too sure about the source, but interesting update there. And DeLitt had a couple things to say. One of the things that he said that I feel like I'm reaching my prime as a defender. You're usually at your best at around age 29, 30, or 31. I'm now 26. I think I've gained a lot of experience throughout my career, which I can put to good use. I hope I can continue like this. I hope you continue like this too, because you have been immense, and we're lucky that we signed you. I'm going to go as far to say as so far on signings, Ineos has done a very good job, and DeLitt looks like a very good signing that they've done. The Xerxes one, I think with Xerxes, it's a bit interesting, yeah, because I always kind of felt like Xerxes was more of a specific Ten Hag signing than the rest of them. And so Ten Hag is gone, and Rúben used him quite a lot last season, and I think it's because he had to, because there was no options. But he's not being used now, and I don't think... It's kind of harsh to put it in this manner, but I don't think Rúben necessarily rates him to a certain extent, in that when he looks at what the quality Xerxes has or gives and what he demands from his system or the position in his system, I think there's some things that Xerxes is lacking, and that's why I think he's really out of favor right now. Plus that we're playing less matches, so there's a lot less need for rotation. I think one of the bigger things that I would say or ask is, would you guys go with the same lineup against Liverpool that we did against Liverpool? Would you use it against Brighton? Do you field the winning team, or do you change it a little bit? Because Rúben doesn't always keep the winning team. He does change it, and I feel like there's probably a good chance that he does slightly change it for Brighton, because that's the way he works. I think each match is specifically individual to its own, and he might feel the need that, this match against Brighton at home is going to call for something a little bit different than what we had to do versus Liverpool at Anfield. So there might be some changes. Maguire, he might start. I might give him the go-ahead, or he might go back with Lenny. Um, and then maybe, maybe puts Dorgu back in instead of Delo. I think the left-hand side is a bit of a problem that we got going on right now, yeah, because Delo is not playing good and Dorgu's struggling a little bit. Again, I have a lot of faith in Dorgu. I think he can become a good player. The kid's only 20, and he hasn't been here for a year yet. So, he's going to take some time, but I mean, we can criticize, because we want better from him, but I don't think anybody should necessarily be giving up on him. I don't think anybody should be tossing him aside at this moment in time. I think that's very unfair. And this is my thing. Like, we talk a lot about youth at this football club. We talk about the fact that, a lot of people want, some more of the youth players from the academy to get more playing time or to be given opportunities. But, I don't really understand sort of the double standard that because Dorgu came from Empoli and from the Serie A and he's not sort of a youth academy product, why does he not get that opportunity? Does he not get that chance to sort of develop? Because he's 20. In 3 years' time, he could be fantastic left wing back. He could grow and mold into, exactly what we need. He could be one of the most dangerous in the Premier League because he's only 20, and 3 years' time is a big difference, especially if things go well at the football club and our football club progresses in a positive trajectory. He has things that he's got to work on. He's not perfect, and like when you look at him and you look at Delo, there's a big difference. Delo has been here for quite some time. He's older, and he's had many chances. Yeah, so I think those two are quite different. Like when Delo is not doing good, I think you have to talk about it sort of in a different way because you expect him by now to be putting in consistently good performances. Whereas Dorgu, I mean, he hasn't been here for a year yet, and he's still young. And so there is going to always be growing pains and inconsistency in his games. We did just talk about Xerxes a little bit, and the story is not going away, but West Ham United have made a move for Joshua Xerxes from Manchester United. Contacts have already been made between the two clubs. If he leaves permanently, how much do you think United should demand for Xerxes? It's a hard question because I kind of forgot what we signed him for. I think it was about 40 million. Let me see if I pull it up. We signed him for 36.5 million. I would say, considering his time, maybe his age, I mean, maybe you could get 30, 25, 30 million for him. I'm not sure. Really, but yeah. Delit is looking like a bargain. He is. Again, that's why I like these deals, Lyle. That's why I like the deals that we're doing. And we're looking at Angelo Stiller, by the way. And now I'm not 100% too familiar with Angelo Stiller. I'm sure many people out there will tell me Angelo Stiller's a baller or something like that or whatever. And fair play if you actually, watch him consistently and you watch Bundesliga and stuff like that. But I know of him. I've heard of him. I've seen him a little bit, but I just think he's German. And we have Vivel. And Vivel knows that league very well. He knows the players in that league very well. He knows their characteristics and their ability very well. And I think the job that Christopher Vivel has been doing at this football club, again, I said this a couple times, and when I saw the Angelo Stiller story, it just made me think back to Vivel, and I just keep thinking, and I'm like, this guy, Vivel, is going to be the guy for us. He's going to be the guy that's going to help transform this football club to where it actually needs to go. If they keep listening to him and they let him keep doing the signings that he's doing, because he's very good at it. He's very good at identifying players. And he can be sort of like our Michael Edwards that they have at Liverpool, because he's sort of the engineer behind their recent success, yeah? And I think Vivel is going to be this guy for us. And so we're looking at a German player in the Bundesliga, and Vivel is very familiar with it. And there hasn't been any real reports saying that, this is a Vivel thing, but I'm going to go ahead and sort of jump the gun and say I think this is a Vivel thing. And so far, what Vivel has done in some of the players that he's identified, I think he's been all spot on. So, and then you couple that with Jason Wilcox and Omar Barada's sort of football experience, and I think we're okay in that certain sense. Elias says, I feel bad for Xerxes, but there are too many players ahead of him, especially since he is not a 9 or 10, really. Well, that's the thing. I do feel a bit bad for him, but, this is football, and this is what happens. I mean, it's football we call it the beautiful game, but it's also a ruthless game, and it's a highly competitive game, and we're not a charity. We're not we're not a daycare, and we're not like, we're not, this isn't like a daycare center. We're not here to just hold people's hands and tell them everything's going to be okay, and tell them that they're the best in the world when they're not. I mean, we can't be operating like that. We're a football club, and we need to be trying to be the best. And to be the best, you have to have high competition. And I agree with Lyle. There's just too many players currently ahead of him. I don't think you can make an argument for Xerxes to really be starting. I mean, maybe you can make an argument for him to get 10 minutes, but there's just so many other players ahead of him. And I don't think the players ahead of him in the position, I don't think you can really make an argument that, they've had their opportunities and they're blown their chances, and that Xerxes should be getting time. So he's going to have to wait it out if he wants to wait it out to try and get an opportunity at this football club until something happens. Knock on wood, Mason Mount, I mean, if he does get injured, that might give him a platform. January also, we're going to lose some players to AFCON. That might open something up for him because one was going to be out and Diallo's going to be out as well. It depends what happens really on in that sort of sense. But right now, you can't tell me Xerxes starts over Cunha and Buemo. There's no way. You can't tell me, that he should be getting Mount's minutes or something like that. So, how does he get into the team? He can't really get into the team. And this is sort of a cause and effect because we are not in Europe. And we have less matches, so we don't really need to be rotating like that. We're playing one match a week. All the players are fit, which is, there's positives in there for us, but then there's negatives like, we don't have enough room to really be playing all these players. The thing is that a lot of these players are basically just sort of emergency options at this point, in terms of, because if somebody does get injured, suspended or something like that, then we do need, sort of the backups to come and fill that role. But that's just what he is, and he wants to play. But I think, he has a decision to make. He wants to get back into the Netherlands squad. He wants to play in the World Cup. I'm going to be quite honest. I don't think that even if he does play, like if we send him to loan on West Ham, I don't think he'll make the World Cup squad anyway. So, it's up to him. I think he's going to obviously back himself and believe that he can get into the World Cup squad. But I just feel like that I feel like the Netherlands have so many players that I just feel like I don't think that he'll be able to get in there. I don't think he'll actually get in there. So, you could stay at United and kind of just hang out for this season, and maybe an opportunity opens up for you when you go in and you take your chance and you make an argument for yourself, and you just kind of stay here for the season, and then we'll see about next season and where this club finishes and what it means. Or you press for the loan, and then we'll see what happens after that. Lucky says Glazer's out. Elias says 25 million seems fair. Lucky says Lenny Yoro, Maz, Mason Mount, Patrick Dorgu can be ball throwing train today. Elias says Stiller is good, but he lacks quite a bit of handle our midfield to handle our midfield requirements. I got to look more into him. Yeah. Shout out to all the people that are smashing the like button. By the way, appreciate it very much. Um, appreciate it very much. Yeah, I got to look more into his stats. I was gonna do it before the show, but I didn't have a lot of time. So, Mason Mount, Cunha, Bruno Fernandes, Amad Diallo, Diego Dalot will take ball training their exercise on Thursday. Says Lucky. And Lyle says agreed. Xerxes needs to leave, unfortunately. Well, I think he is one of the players that I kind of in this squad right now, as it is, especially for this season. I do see him sort of as surplus to requirements. I just don't see where he actually gets in, especially with the way that Rúben has chosen to sort of rotate, right? Because when Sesko doesn't play, when Sesko doesn't start, and Sesko's on the bench, we are doing a rotation of Cunha, Buemo, and Mount. And then, when Sesko does come on, one of those three comes off, and then it's shifted around. So he can't really get in the striker position, and he can't get in the 10. And if you can't get in either one of those two, there's no place for you. And I just feel like that those spots are all quietly filled at the moment. I mean, even for the fact of that, in worst case emergency scenarios, if we have other players available, I mean, Diallo could always come in at 10. You could maybe have play Meno at 10 if you really need to. So it's not like we're at a lack of options for 10 as well, emergency wise, if you need to do something because of a suspension or an injury or something like that. So I don't know. I think it's hard to really tell exactly how it's going to go. I mean, it was sort of this story last season, but this was because, of how he was playing, and it wasn't really well. And then it turned around and it completely went away. And it kind of back here again, he's looking to go on loan. Will he be sold permanently? I think we can only really tell, or it'll be a lot clearer when we know where we sort of are at the end of the season, because I think European football will have a big impact on what's going to happen in terms of player dynamic at this football club. Because if we get into Europe and we have to play more matches, we're going to need a bigger squad. We're going to need a larger squad. And there's going to be more opportunities for the non-starting players. If we're not in Europe, we're going to go through another season like this. I just can't see Xerxes staying at that point, and probably one or two other players as well. Because I don't think they wouldn't want to do this again. And I just don't think there's a point in doing this again in sort of that aspect. I think at that point, you move Xerxes on and you fill his spot with somebody else, maybe a youngster or something like that. So, Lyle says, was about to say that without a striker, he's still not chosen. He has been professional through, which was good, and he is always smiling. Well, that I will give him credit for. You know what I mean? And again, I don't know, maybe because people just kind of feel like it's supposed to be a given, but in today's time, we don't, we see how problems can arise. And I will give him that. I mean, I do respect that. It's not like I hate the guy or there's any animosity towards him. It's just football, and that's the way the cookie crumbles, to quote somebody from a film once upon a time. But yeah, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Life is unfair and football is unfair. And yeah, I mean, he's doing good to just, he has a smile on him. I'm sure he's going into training and he's doing his thing in training. But on the flip side, I will say, this is how it shows that Rúben is ruthless, because, and some people might not agree with this in terms of, they might feel like it's sort of betrayal or backstabbing or sort of two faces. But I would say that I think it's smart. And also, I think that it's kind of a bit more normal in football. I think the players understand it to a certain extent. I mean, if you look at sort of kind of what he's done with a couple players, Like Garnacho, I remember saying this multiple times week in, week out last season after, January was over. So it was like February forward. And I kept saying Garnacho would not be playing this amount of matches. He would not be starting these amount of matches. He would not be getting these amount of minutes if Rúben didn't have to use him. He had to use him. He was at a lack of options, and then Xerxes got injured, so he was definitely at a lack of options. And there was many a matches where Garnacho was very selfish and not passing the ball and being too individual. And I was like, I know Rúben hates this. I know he hates it. I know he would love nothing more than to take him out and bench him for it, but he can't. He needs to use him for the rest of the season. He needs to keep him on his side. You can't alienate a player that you technically have to use because of the situation you're in. And sometimes that happens, and people don't like that because people will say, well, a manager shouldn't have to use a player that they don't want to. And to a certain extent, I agree. But when you're in the midst of a season and you can't really do anything about it, then you have to do what you got to do. And that's exactly what he did. He didn't really alienate Garnacho. He wanted Garnacho out of there because Garnacho is not the player with the characteristics that he wants. He wants somebody that's not selfish, which is players like Mbeumo and Cunha, yeah? Like, they can be selfish when they need to be, but they have good decision-making and they have good IQ. And Garnacho is very tunnel vision. And his attitude is quite different as well. I mean, he is more of a kid than them. It's a little bit on the immature side. As soon as Mount came back, and you saw in the final, boom, straight to the bench. And many people didn't agree with that, and many people criticized Rúben for that. But it's a big indication of he does tend to do these things. I mean, he kind of did it with Rasmus as well. I mean, the amount of times he came out and backed Rasmus in the media and went at them for having a go at Rasmus and talking positively about Rasmus, and Rasmus scoring a couple goals in preseason. As soon as he was given word that Sesko was coming in, I mean, that was it. We never saw Rasmus again, and he basically tossed him to the side. And some people will say, they don't like that, but you can't ask for United to not be a daycare. You can't ask for United to be ruthless. And then when we have a manager that sort of displays that in what I would say a decently fair way, you then have a go at the manager for doing it. So, I mean, he's done it to Rasmus, and I think he's doing it to Xerxes right now. And that's those are three players. Rashford, I mean, he was done immediately, so his situation was a bit different. But, he's doing it to Xerxes. I mean, he used Xerxes because he needed to, and he had no other options, and he had no other choice, and Xerxes played a prominent role for him last season. He's gotten new options, and Amorim has moved on from Xerxes, and Xerxes has fallen off down the pecking order. And I can see him leaving the football club because I just feel like at this current moment in time, the way people feel about Rúben, about Kobbie Mainoo, is how I feel Rúben feels about Xerxes and not Kobbie. I don't agree with the sentiment that people think that Rúben doesn't rate Kobbie and that Kobbie's going to leave the football club because of it and that he wants to sell him. I think that that's accurate for Xerxes. I don't think it's accurate for Mainoo. I think he wants Mainoo to develop more. I think he likes Mainoo, and I think he sees things in Mainoo, and that's why he's giving Mainoo, he's still giving him game time. Because he doesn't, in this situation right now, in my opinion, he doesn't have to give Kobbie Mainoo game time because we have a big squad and we're not playing a lot of matches. So if you don't rate the guy, you don't have to play him. And that's what I'm seeing with Xerxes. I mean, it just really feels like he doesn't actually really rate him anymore because he's got all these other shiny toys and he prefers them over him. And so Xerxes is not getting minutes. He's not getting a minute. He's not getting 30 seconds. Whereas Mainoo is getting 10, 15, 20 minutes. So to me, that's an indication that, like, he kind of looks at Kobbie and says, there's something there with you, and I see it, and I know it, but it's not there yet, and I want you to get there. And I'm going to work with you to get there, but it's going to take time, and we're going to need patience. And when I look at it with Xerxes, it's just like, there's nothing really for us to work. I have the answers here, and, you know, it's kind of just set in stone to a certain extent. So, X says, bros, we need to cook the Seagulls. We need to win and transfer the good vibe from Liverpool to Brighton. We absolutely do, and I hope we do it. And I'm gonna be looking, Axe, for this, because I think for me, I'm still a bit reserved. I don't think I'm not gonna tell people how to really think or feel, but I'm just, it's kind of like a warning shot almost. I don't think we should be necessarily saying that we've turned the corner yet. I think because the real test is this match, and the match, we've been here too many times. We need to go, like I said, we can't really let the Liverpool result be for nothing. It will be kind of, not totally, but it will be a little bit, it'll feel a little bit like it was for nothing if we don't go and win the match against Brighton, yeah? So we need to go do this. And again, I think it holds similar weight to the Liverpool match. It is a big match. It's not Liverpool. We are home. It's different circumstances, but it's important for Rúben. It's important for United in terms of the players and the fans. I mean, I've talked about many times how you got to give us something. You got to give the fans something, to a little bit of hope, a little bit to cling on to and say, listen, everything's not perfect, but we do got this going for us. And we have the opportunity. 3 wins in a row. We'll stay competitive in the table. We'll be in a good place in the table on points. It's big. It's big. It's like the Liverpool match again. So, and then I think if we do that, you can. I think I can feel a little bit more comfortable with saying, well, they sort of passed this test now. And it's starting to feel quite different than where we've been in the past, where we go and do a result like Liverpool, and then we completely shit the bed the next match. So I want them to pass the test. I do. I am quite anxious for this match because I want to see us actually sort of get over this hump. And also, just for, you know, fun, we'll be, if we do beat Brighton, we'll be two matches away from one of our fellow United fans being able to go get a haircut. I've kind of joined in with him, if you've seen, because my hair is quite a mess. Not officially, just, you know, yeah, I've kind of joined in with him because I haven't gotten a haircut since basically the season's started. So Axe is my boy. Rasmussen deserves so much more. Well, again, I always said that I didn't have a problem if he stayed, and I thought, you know, if we had 2 strikers, it would be a good dynamic. But they clearly, obviously, had a different plan, and that's why I mean, it's quite clear now as to why they let Rasmus go. Yeah, because the plan was always, if it's not Sesko, my plan B is to play sort of a false 9, and we can do that with the players that we have in terms of Mount, Cunha, and Mbeumo, which is, you know, if that's his decision, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to agree with that. You might think that that's, you know, wrong or nonsense or whatever. But, I mean, that's what they've chosen. And it's quite clear now. And it's quite evident that that's sort of the plan that they went with. So, you know, these things happen. Unfortunately, you know, it just didn't pan out for Rasmus here. And, you know, wish him the best of luck in Italy. He's doing quite well. You know, and good luck. I don't expect him to come back. I don't think, for me, I think I'm over this point of bringing players back. I think once you're gone, you're gone. Yeah, because Rasmus isn't it's not a developmental loan, right? It's different. He's on loan because we needed to get him out. He needed to play games. He wanted to play games, and we need to get a fee for him. We couldn't get the fee, so we loaned him out. So players like Rasmus or like Rashford, to me, they're already gone. Yeah, like they're gone. Not officially, but they're gone. They're not here because we want to sell them. We couldn't sell them. We didn't loan them out for them to refine themselves or, you know, grow or whatever. So, you know, to me, Rasmus is already gone. It's not official, but he's already gone. He's not coming back. And I'm at that point where we shouldn't go back anymore. Those things don't tend to work quite well. And we've seen that already. And I think once a player is kind of gone, that's it. We should never go back in for them. We shouldn't be bringing players back. So, yeah, I think Rasmus, even if he has one of the best seasons, I don't think we should be looking to go back in for him. I think we should just move forward, and continue in a different direction. And he should also. He is a fan of this team. He was United through and through. And X says, it also happened to my boy McTominay. He is, I think he meant to say Ballon d'Or material. He said Ball d'Or material. He was misunderstood and still produced Roman de Todd de McTominay. Well, but these things happen. And again, I will make an argument for time. It's all well and good if they go and perform in another league, but it ain't the Premier League. And until you show me a player that leaves Manchester United and goes to another Premier League team and performs exceptionally well, then I don't feel like they are sort of mistakes. Even if Scott McTominay wins the Ballon d'Or in Italy, that's good. He flourishes in Italy. He flourishes in Italian football. It doesn't have the intensity and it doesn't have the physicality that the Premier League does. No league does. And, good for them if they go there, but I don't see McTominay as a mistake. I don't see Rashford as a mistake leaving. I don't see Rasmus as a mistake leaving. If they go and perform, I don't see Anthony as a mistake leaving. I don't see Sancho as a mistake leaving. I think they all needed to go. I think they quite proved at United, in the Premier League, at United, they weren't good enough, or it just wasn't good enough, or it just didn't work out for whatever reason. So I'm okay with that sort of thing. So, your phone got brighter by itself. What should I do? You probably have auto brightness on. Although, I don't know. If you have an iPhone, it does that sometimes. It's weird. It has some sort of settings in there. But yeah, it's nothing to be alarmed about. You're not hacked. Just to let you know, by the way, because there is the Champions League matches on, Wout Weghorst has scored a goal versus Chelsea. Former Manchester United player under Ten Hag has scored a goal against Chelsea. It is 2-1 to Chelsea against Ajax. And the goal that Weghorst scored was a penalty, by the way, just so we know. So yeah, that just came through. Lucky says Harry Maguire and Buemo on match. We must raise our game again. We need to, absolutely. It's back to normal. All right, yeah. Yeah, it just happens. I think sometimes the phone just glitches and stuff like that. So, yeah, Harry Maguire willing to take a pay cut to sign a new contract at the club. That was Simon Stone from the other day. Oh, just by the way, just to go hit back at Arne Slot again, he was talking about, that head injury that the referee didn't stop. And was basically essentially saying that because Liverpool are such a nice and fair team, that they're not ones to fake injuries. And so that he should have just blew the whistle because Liverpool are such a morally high standard team. And that they would never do that. So they should just, the whistle should have just automatically been blown and benefited out to Liverpool because they're such good people, and they're such fair players, and they're such a fair club. Well, the Premier League has reminded Liverpool on its multi-ball rules following multiple breaches of the system during the game versus United, where several occasions ball attendants lobbed the ball to Liverpool players, and Arne Slot also threw a ball to one of his players, which is against the rules, because under regulations introduced in 2022, balls are positioned on tees around the pitch, with players expected to pick them up, and ball boys and girls are not permitted to hand them over. And if you remember, they literally were throwing balls all over the place. And there was actually a few times that the balls ended up on the pitch as well. Extra balls. So, yeah, you guys, you never break the rules. You're upstanding team, but you know you were trying to get a competitive edge in the fact that you had people tossing you the ball to take the throw-ins quicker, which is against the rules. So yeah, I mean, United didn't issue a complaint, but yeah, the Premier League picked up on it. I mean, nothing's really going to come out of that. Yeah, I mean, it's really a bunch of bullshit. But one of the things our manager said, though, Amorim said, you know, they asked him about the Liverpool win. And he said, where will this win rank in your career? And he gave a very good answer. And he said, I hope the best one will be against Brighton because it's the next one. This one is in the past. People will forget. We have 1 week. You are going to talk about a lot of things, so it doesn't matter. Today, they can enjoy. Tomorrow, we focus on Brighton. And again, I talked about this in the beginning of the show. I love this because this is what the mentality that we need. This is the mentality that our players need. They need to understand that the mission is not accomplished because you beat Liverpool. You are not superstars. You are not the best. We are not actually back. You can't just go walking around with a full head saying, because we beat Liverpool, now nobody's going to beat us, and go into the matches half-assed, thinking that you're going to cruise and it's going to be a walk in the park. We need to go back into battle. We need to go back with the mentality of, we're playing Liverpool again. We need to get this fucking win. And, you know, a lot of people say that this stuff comes from the manager, starts with the manager. Well, the manager already has this mentality, and he already has this attitude, and he's making public statements about it. And I'm sure he's saying other things behind the scenes that we're not going to hear. But he's absolutely right. And this is why I like this manager. I mean, if you put the tactics aside for just, you know, a couple seconds, right? I like him because I truly do believe that he understands this football club. He understands this football club. He understands the circumstances. He gets it. He does. He always, and this is why I say he's not a dumb guy, because he understands the context of this guy. He understands what this club is supposed to be about. The problem is this football club hasn't been where it's supposed to be. So that's why I have a hard time of demanding such high standards at this moment, because I think he gets it, and I think he knows where we have to go and where we need to go, and I think he knows how to go about it. But when this football club hasn't been there for 12 years, it's quite hard for a man to come in and get us to where we need to go. Like, just the fact that the mentality, I feel like this is quite old United mentality, you know, of when we used to be what we used to be. You know, he's basically brushed that off and been like, it's a good result. We get to enjoy it today, but tomorrow it's over, because we got shit to focus on. Whereas I feel like if you go back to the United, if you go back 4 years ago, 5 years ago, I feel like the feeling around it would have been like this Liverpool match would have been celebrated by the players and the team as if we won the Premier League and the like we've won the treble again. And then they go into the next match and they're shit again. Whereas right now, I'm kind of feeling like, especially because the words from Rúben, I'm feeling like, no, there's a level-headedness to this. And I think there's a core group of players, I think like Cunha and Mbeumo, and I would say even Bruno, and a couple others, that they're like, hey, you know, great fucking job, everybody, but it's not over, and we got to go next week, and we better get this result, and we got to be focused on this, and we can't be celebrating like we just won the treble. You know, enjoy it, but we got to forget about this. This is in the past now. This is 3 days ago, 4 days ago. It's over. We have a game coming up, and we need 3 points, and we're at home at Old Trafford, and we better go out there and get the win. And that's what we need, the mentality that we've kind of been missing. And that's why we've been inconsistent as well, as a club, as a squad, as a team, because they get one result and their heads always get too big and they feel like they've made it, and they take in all the praise, and their levels drop because they get comfortable, and they can't be comfortable because the mission's not complete. The mission is to get back into Europe. The mission is to finish as high as possible and get as many points and be competitive for this season. So until we do that, which is going to take us till May, hopefully, or you would like, um, then there is no time to sort of relax. There is no time to sort of, ease back, throw your hands up and say, we did it. Pat myself on the back. I'm the best now. And nobody can take it away from me. You only did 1% of the job. You got another 99% left to go. So, um, you know, Rio was speaking again because I talked about lemons early on in the show. So Rio was talking about this, and he said, "When I think back to when I was playing, when did I feel the best? It was when I didn't have to look behind me to worry about what the goalkeeper was going to do or where he was." Edwin van der Sar is a perfect example. A fantastic goalkeeper, a calming presence, and it was simply reassuring to see him behind me. I think people don't realize how important a goalkeeper is because he sends vibes to the whole team. His positive energy resonates with the group, confidence, security, assurance, but at the slightest sign of hesitation or uncertainty, when we're no longer sure what he's going to do, all of that is lost. This uncertainty occurred especially among the defenders, with mistakes being made, and it led to a real lack of confidence in the team. And you see the way the guys celebrated with Lemons. It was and it was only his second match. He also went on to say it was almost as if Lemons had been there for several years, as if it was natural. It was really nice to see this unity, and for me, the celebrations are a true indicator. There was a real aggressiveness and energy, and I hope that's what we're going to continue to see. And listen, Rio says some crazy things sometimes. He says some shit that I'm just like, dude, why do you say these things? Because it's kind of embarrassing. But I think actually Rio is perfect to speak on it because he is a legend of this football club, and he played center back, and he played in one of our best era, and it does have to do with him in terms of that back line. And I think what he said there, I think, is 100% accurate, and I think we're seeing it, and that's why we're talking about the calmness of Lemons and sort of his presence, and we're seeing the players like they are celebrating with him. You can tell that there's already a liking to him. And I like that bit where he says that, it looked like he's been here for several years, and there's a natural feel to it. There is. The presence that he has, the calmness that he has, I think has allowed the defensive line to relax a little bit. Because we've talked about many times where they're worried about that midfield, because that midfield is a problem, and they're also worried behind them. So I just felt like for a while, our defensive line, the defenders, are basically shitting themselves. And they can't focus on their job because they're worrying about what's happening in front of them. And then in the back of their head, they're also like, fuck, if we make a mistake or they get through, we don't know what this guy behind us is going to do, because he's erratic as shit, and somehow he fucks everything up. When you least expect him to do it, he makes a big mistake. And I think with Lemons coming in, I think that part has gone already because of just the way he is. And now they don't. I think they feel quite good about him. They trust him, so they're not really thinking too much about him back there, which is allowing them to focus on their job and focus what's in front of them, and not really have to focus what's behind them. You don't want the defenders focusing on what's going on behind them. They are the last line of defense. They have the entire pitch in front of them. They should only be focusing about their job and what's happening in front of them. So I think we're getting that now, which is a good dynamic that we need. Lyle says even the next day back at training, players were back to work. And that's what we need. That's what we need. And that's why this does feel like, I think in actuality, it does feel different this time, but we need to cement it as different. You know what I mean? Like, I think where we are right now, there is a realistic discussion about that this can turn different than it has in the past. And I think rightfully so, because I think we're in sort of that line where it's sort of bubbling and it can become. We're not there yet. So I don't think we should be saying, oh, it's different. It's going to be different, 100% guaranteed. But I think we're in the realm of making that a reality. it does feel different, and I this is why I've backed Rúben, and I support Rúben, because his ideas in terms of a squad, the togetherness, the need to fight, the need to not get carried away. These have always been his ideals since day one. I mean, since before coming to this club. That's why I liked him. It's not really about the formation or the tactics or, you know, how it plays. It's the ideals he has as a manager. I agree with a lot of them. And to me, it's always felt like it has a resemblance to a certain degree of some old standards of United that we've been missing. And I feel like if he can stick around and keep his job and get good performances, I think my hope was always that he can instill some of these things back that I feel like we've been missing for quite some time, because he believes in them. They are his beliefs. They are, to him, what makes a team, and what makes a good team and a winning team. And you have to have these things. And I agree with it, because I think we've been missing these things for quite some time. And if you have a manager that openly talks about these things at every chance he gets, and he tells you, I mean, he's not just saying them just to say them. He's saying them because that's what he believes in. And I think one of the things that can be quite positive is that he is stubborn. And that could be a negative, but it could also be a positive, because he is convicted in his laurels that you need to have players that have a strong mentality, a good attitude, some sort of a character, and that they need to be team players. Fundamentally, at the basic level, 100% we need that. And 100% we have not had that at this football club. And when I hear him speak about this, I get excited, because I'm like, this is what I feel like our team has been missing for at least 5 years or longer. And a lot of the other managers that we've had here, they haven't really talked about these things like he talks about it. I don't think they really put that as an importance. And if they did, they didn't make it publicly known. So you kind of felt like a disconnect between what the fans want for the football club and the manager. I feel like with Rúben, and the reason why Rúben has support, and the reason why Rúben is getting backing, even with a win ratio as low as this, and he still has a decently good support, is one, the fans are tired of sacking managers, but two, I think it's because when he speaks, he does understand this football club. He does understand what this football club is supposed to be, or what it needs to be. But these are two different things. Understanding what it is and what it's supposed to be is different than, are you going to get us there? Are you going to get us there? Can you bring us there? Can you figure out a way to get us there? And those are the two different things, because on the pitch, we've been struggling. And that's why I always felt bad, because I'm like, I think he has the perfect ideas for us. And I think if you can take what he wants and you can translate it on the pitch, and you can actually make things start to work and start to click, I think he can get us there, because I think the ideals is what we need in our team. But you have to be able to get there. Otherwise, you know, it's kind of like what Axe says. You're just doing the talk. You're not walking the walk. But walking the walk, I still think might take, especially with the dynamic of this football club and what we've been for like 12 years, it takes some time. But hopefully throughout this season, we will start to see a little bit more and more, and we'll have more hope that, you know what, it's been real shit and it's been real rough since he's come in, and we got to this point, and things are slowly, little by little, they're turning around. And, you know, this aspect of the team or the club is still a mess, but we got a few positives here over here that we can put in our pocket. We can say, you know, a couple of these things has improved. They have gotten better. We are looking better in those areas. We need to improve here. We'll take those positive things, keep them in our pocket for later. Let's try and improve on this front and continue to move forward. But at the end of the day, the most important thing that's going to allow him to do this sort of stuff is that he needs to get the results. And I've always said as well, he doesn't shy away from this sort of stuff. He says it all the time. I sometimes I come on here and I say it, and I feel like it feels like I'm trying to make an excuse for him or something. But at the end of the day, he's not hiding from any of this. He says it. He knows it. He knows that at the end of the day, I need to get 3 points. I need to get results. Otherwise, all of this other shit is useless. All of this other shit is irrelevant. And that's true. It's true. But there are circumstances at the football club that we need to take into account for the amount of time where you think that this should take. Because again, this football club has not been normal for quite some time, and we've made a shit ton of mistakes over 10 years. It's going to take time to really undo all of these things. And that's why I'm saying for him, at the simplest terms, like I said for Ten Hag, you got to give yourself as much rope as possible. The only way you can do that is by getting the results. This is about survival. I would like to see him stay here because I would like to see where he could go with this project, but he has to earn the time. And so I hope he does earn the time, because if he earns the time, that means we're getting results. That means I'm happy. We're happy because we're performing better. We're in the table in a better position. We're getting 3 points. We're winning matches. And I think everybody's happy. Rúben gets to have more time, and we get to see what comes out of it. We can actually enjoy our season and our matches to a certain extent. So, and maybe we actually get to see him smile as well, because he's quite emotional. Yeah. Look at the picture in the bottom left underneath my desk. And I put that there after the Brentford match because this is the manager. He feels like this. And sometimes I feel like he's a fan. Like sometimes the way he acts, the way he speaks, the way he reacts, it's not like you're asking the manager of Manchester United his thoughts on the game, or, I feel like it's like you've grabbed a random fan and you've asked them and they give you the opinion. And that picture is there because that's how I think I felt, and I think how all of us felt after that Brentford match. Like, it's just, it was painful disappointment. And that's why I like this guy, because I think he really gets this club. I think he does. But it's a big job, and it's hard work, and it's going to take a lot. And this place swallows you up and destroys careers and lives, yeah? And it's not made for everybody. It's not made for the average person. So you got to be special, and I think we'll see. X says the true mission is the treble, bro. Well, again, one step at a time, buddy. Let's get back to where we got to go for it. First, let's get back into Europe, yeah? We can't win the treble if we're not in Europe. So we got to take it a step at a time. I agree. At the end, I would love... Let's put it this way. If I can write... If this is a movie, yeah? And we haven't sort of written the script yet, right? We haven't written the plot, the details. I can write you the ending. The ending for the movie is United winning another treble, and every season we're back to, all right, we're going to win the title again, where we used to be, where we'd be like, all right, we won the title, we go again. We didn't win it by 2 points or whatever it was. Next season, you best believe we're winning it. And you start off the season with that confidence of, United are going to be involved, they're going to be there, and they have a very good chance. That's the ending of the movie, yeah? That's the ending of the movie. We are nowhere near the ending. We're not there yet. We didn't even go through the climax stage yet. We didn't even go through, one of the plots of the story yet. we are sort of right now under Rúben. We're sort of in the beginning, yeah. Um, Now, you can write the script, and halfway through the script, when you're writing the plot and all that stuff, you might just stop and say, you know what? This is shit. This is a shit idea. And you fucking throw it all away, and it's done. Or, while you're writing it, it could become brilliant, and it's one of the best fucking movies you ever wrote, and then go and print it. So, ultimate goal, obviously, we got to get there, but we got to take it in stages, my friend, Axe. Again, I always respect because you do hold those values, and I like those values because that's where our football club needs to be. That's what we need to be doing. We need to get back there. I 100% agree, and I will never forget that because you just can't. You can't. And even the Glazers wearing us down, and this is why you can't go at United fans for, one of the big things that I hate in our fan base. And I try to big up our fan base as much as I can, but we have a lot of issues in it, and I understand why. But one of the big things that I hate in our fan base is when our fans start attacking each other, saying you are the reason for why this football club is where it is. I highly disagree with that because there's only two fucking people in the entire planet whose fault it is where we are, and that is the Glazers. The fans we are fans. We're just fans. We have opinions. We have thoughts. There's no fan here that is directly solely responsible for what has gone on at our football club. I don't like when they say that you've dropped the standards and you're the reason why we are. They might have dropped the standards, but I don't think it's not why we are where we are. We are where we are solely because of our owners. And the owners have done a good job of grinding away at people and basically forcing them to drop standards because you can't, for our fan base to be like, we demand the Premier League and the Champions League this season, right now, because of the way we've been operated and because of the way we've been, it's so unrealistic that you just can't really do that. One, you're going to look like an idiot. Because everybody's going to be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to lower the standards temporarily to where we are and try and build it back up. You got to remember, you can't forget it, but you have to always remember it. But you have to kind of come to a place of be like, that is the ultimate aim and goal. And we need to get back there. And we need to do whatever we can to get back there. It's going to take time. We're not going to be able to undo 10 years of shit in a season or two, especially if we keep fucking up along the way. All we're doing is delaying and making it longer and longer. And then we need to take what we are now, accept what we are now, work with it, and try and build up and go up from there. And I hope that's what we can do to where we are right now. So, Lyle says, true, we really need to cement it. We have an opportunity here to really push on in a very positive way. Well, that's what I was saying the other day as well. Like, we were sort of in the middle. Like, we were sitting on the fence. Like, we were in 10th, and we were 5 points or whatever it was off of the top, and then sort of above the relegation zone. Now we've gone up a spot. We need to double up on it. Yeah? We need to double up on it. Ray says Lemon's making everyone better. Yeah, I mean, again, and this is what I'm saying. Like, I think sometimes maybe we overcomplicate football. And, I don't... This is why I don't like to get into too much of a conversation with formation tactics, because I think at the end of the day, it's very basic. You need players that fight. You need players that have a good mentality. You need to create a squad that has a good chemistry and that is an actual team. And we haven't had that. Post Fergie, we have not had that under any manager, because if we did, it wouldn't have fell apart. It wouldn't have crumbled out from under. So we've never actually had it. We might have had it temporarily, but it wasn't a strong foundation. It cracked and it crumbled and it collapsed. And we need these things. And I think Rúben Amorim can get these things because these are his ideals as a manager. It's what he believes in. It's what he focuses on to try and make a good team. But again, when I look at it, it's like, well, if you have a club that hasn't been like that for 10 years, how easy is it for you to walk in there and implement that within 1 to 2 years? I think it's quite challenging. You have to change a lot of shit. And also, it's not really only on him. The guys upstairs got to make sure that everything behind the scenes at the club is changing. And all the minute details, that's from tea ladies to people washing the kits and, the people that put the cones on the training ground. Everything has to be in a certain way. And to even get there, it's still going to take a lot of time to get there. So, but I think Lemons had a big impact. Again, the presence that he's got back there, the calmness that he's got back there. I mean, I can feel it when I'm watching him through my television screen. I can feel it. I'm sure they feel it. And, they're on the pitch there with him and they're in training with him every time. So this is kind of what I was saying last season as well. If you think back, I said a couple times and a few times, I said, with Rasmus, I said there was so many games, they don't give him the ball. They don't give him the opportunity to fuck up. I specifically remember complaining about this, where there are times where he made a run through or he's in a position, they don't give him the ball. They give it to somebody else. And I made the argument at the time that maybe they just don't trust the guy. Maybe they don't, because they don't rate him. They're in training with him and they just are like, they don't trust him because he's not good enough. And maybe some of them do it subconsciously and maybe some of them do it consciously. But I kind of felt like that is the thing. And if you reverse that and you apply it to Lemons, you can tell the opposite is they're running to him. They're celebrating with him. They're bigging him up. They look more calm back there. He's calm. He's not overcomplicating things. He's playing simple and he's just doing a job, which is, I think, all we really need in all the positions. I don't need flair players. I don't need people doing step overs. I don't need people doing Rabonas and shit. I don't need people, doing Instagram reel videos on the pitch. We need you to go do a job, be simple with the ball. Don't overcomplicate it. You don't have to take 15 touches. You don't have to try and make the hardest pass on the pitch. Keep it simple. And from him, what I'm seeing, being a young guy and being calm, and he looks mature for his age, he's simple. What he's done is simple. It's simple. He's not, his kicking is simple. He kicks it long. He doesn't try to overcomplicate it. He doesn't rush. He's calm. He doesn't try to do some stupid shit when he's back there. So I think it's a bit infectious. Like, you just see him come in. Some of these players have been here for a little bit. He's come in. He's really calm. I think that rubs off on the rest of the team because they're like, yo, look at this kid. And not for nothing, but if these players have anything about them, they'd be like, yo, this kid just came from the fucking Belgium league. And he's come here. And he's like so relaxed like this. And they're like, if he could do it, then I can do it to a certain extent. Sometimes it happens like that as well, where you're like, some young guy, new guy comes in and he's doing things and you're like, fuck, like, I've kind of been here for like 3 or 4 years and I haven't really been able to act like that. I've been playing nervous or I've been playing scared. And this kid's come here and he's very calm. And then if you have something about yourself, I mean, you're a competitive athlete, you got to say, well, if he can fucking do it, then I can do it too. And I'm going to try and do it. So, Ray says the last 2 games I felt more confident at the back. We feel it. The players feel it. Yeah, I think so, man. I think so, Ray. I think so. Everybody's sort of talking about it. And I think, I think we're talking about it because I think it's a real thing. Yeah, I think it's actually happening. I don't think we're making it up. I don't think we're like fantasizing or we're imagining things. I think we can see it and we feel it. So definitely, I think it's a big impact. And again, in the beginning of the show, I gave Rúben credit for this because I think you have to give him credit for this. He didn't have to play Lemons. Like some people might say, people were saying he has to play Lemons because look at Binder, but Rúben being Rúben and being stubborn in his ways, and we've seen somebody like Ten Hag who is stubborn in his ways as well. Well, at one point, Ten Hag had to drop Rashford. At one point, Ten Hag had to stop playing Anthony. Did he fucking do it? No, he didn't. But he had to. But he didn't do it. And the same thing with Rúben. Like, he could have just stuck with Binder. He could have just been a stubborn bastard and been like, I'm not playing the fucking Lemons. He came from Belgium. He's not ready. He's 22. I want experience. Binder has more experience than him. I'm staying with Binder. And he could have done that. But he didn't do it. And he made the change. And I think this is a positive change. I think it's working well for him. It's working well for the squad. I don't think we're going to get the midfield change. It's not going to happen. Because I think there's too many different circumstances going on. But he subbed Bruno off. He had to sub Bruno off. And for me, at the very least, this is all I ask of Rúben Amorim, yeah? That's all I ask of him. Please don't be so unfair in that sense and be stubborn to that extent. I understand it's your captain. I understand you rate the guy. And I understand you're going to start him in matches. And I understand that you've concocted this plan that he is going to play in the midfield. I disagree with it, but I understand that this is the way you're moving. All I ask for is to keep the balance in the team, to keep the balance in the dynamic of the squad. If he is playing shit, or he is not getting the job done, or he looks tired, just sub the guy out. Whether it's 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, something. But you got to do something. You can't, if he's on the pitch and he's doing a forward the whole match, he shouldn't be staying on 90 minutes. And maybe we don't need him to anymore, because if you have the other players in the leadership team, like De Ligt, or I think Delo is in it, but Delo's kind of a bad example to use right now, but somebody like De Ligt, if De Ligt is playing the way De Ligt is playing, and he's holding himself the way he's holding himself, you can take off the captain in 15 minutes left in the match and be okay, because you have somebody like De Ligt. He'll just carry it over. He'll just take over, and he'll sort of captain the side and make sure that everybody stays together. You don't have to worry that if I take Bruno out, the whole team drops because there's nobody else that can hit his level. So we have to grow that a little bit more. But I think if you look at this squad and you look at the squad from last year, I think the big key difference is if you take Bruno out, you still have a character in Matheus Cunha. You still have somebody like Brian Mbeumo. He's a quiet guy, but his actions and him fighting on the pitch and him, battling it out shows leadership in that way. It's a different way. He's not as vocal, right? He's not a loud guy. He's not screaming at people on the pitch. He's not animated. He's not waving his arms. He's not, but he leads by his actions. The guy never stops running. He's constantly fighting. He tries to constantly show strength, and he has impacts on the game. I mean, he scored the goal against Liverpool. He looks quite threatening when he goes down the wing. So I think if we can build the team a little bit more, you don't need to be so afraid that, I take the captain off and the whole team is going to capitulate because nobody's going to be able to lead them, So I think that's one of the other dynamics as well. Axe says, bro, he is all talk. He needs to prove himself on the pitch. Literally one of the most backed managers in history. Don't forget he's been in charge of our worst. I don't forget nothing. And he's not, I don't think he's all talk. I don't, because I think that there are areas, if you look specifically at us playing under him, so specifically, if you look at it from last season and you look at it for what we're doing right now, the team has improved in areas. Yes, it's not a total improvement. It can never be a total improvement because you're not going to do it in one season. It's just not going to happen. But it has improved. Again, I think there's a lot of things at this football club that this shit is going to take time. I don't see anybody ever coming in here and not taking at least 3 to 4 years. There's nobody, even if we get a new ownership with $700 billion to spend, pounds, whatever it is, I will still see 3 to 4 years. There's nobody on the face of this planet that's not going to take 3 to 4 years, just solely because we've been a mess for 10 years. So I don't think he's all talk. I don't. He just needs to get the results so that he can continue to change the team to get the opportunity, which is the same thing I said for Erik ten Hag last season, which is that he needed to get results so that he can continue. And if he doesn't get the results, well, then he's not going to get the time and he's going to go. And the same thing goes for Rúben. You know, he could still get sacked. It could still go very wrong for him, but he is at a point right now where there is an opportunity that you can actually go in a different path and turn the things around. Yeah. So like for him to get, like, for example, for him to win, to raise the win ratio, he's got to win 14 matches in a row. Like right now, to get it to like 60% or something. Yeah. So I don't think he's going to win 14 matches in a row. That's definitely not going to happen. But if we can make progress towards him fixing that, I mean, that's more of a personal thing. But obviously, I mean, if his win ratio is going up, our win ratio is going up as well. So, and again, I would like to judge him on this season because I would like to see what he actually does in a full first season, starting in what I consider normal circumstances, and he's got players and as well that fit his system a lot more than what he had last year. I think it's two totally different things. The problem is that, yeah, I mean, he did almost a full season last season, but I still think that the changes that we made, they're monumental. That was never going to be a smooth transition. It can never be a smooth transition, and you're going into what you would call year 2, it's not going to be perfect either. We're going to struggle. But the only thing is we got to show improvement, and we got to show that we're growing, and we got to show that we're doing better. And so far, I actually think he's actually not doing that bad. If I'm looking solely at this season, and I'm not looking at last season, because we keep talking about last season, I don't need to look at last season right now. Last season is done. We're in the new season. We're in a decently good position. We've had the hardest start out of all the Premier League clubs in the league, and we're in a decently good position. So I want to judge him based off of this season, and I would like to see where he actually finishes, because I don't think it'll be anywhere near 15th, and I don't think it'll be anywhere near our worst season. I don't think that will happen. I think that happened because of all the circumstances and the decisions that were made based off of last season. I think this can definitely be way better. It should be better. It should be nothing like last season in those terms. We should not be anywhere near 15th. And I don't think it's going to happen. I think even if he does fail, I don't think he'll be in 15th when he gets sacked. I think he'll probably be like in 10th or something, and it'll be like a 10-point gap by a certain period of time. But, you know, yeah. I feel like they grabbed the regular person and put him on the bench. No. Lyle says England are doing well in the UCL again this season, so it could be top 5 for UCL again. Opportunities are plenty. We need to be consistent. And this is the thing, Lyle. This is the thing. This is the big thing. We need to keep ourselves in the conversation for all possibilities. We need to stay. Literally, I don't even really necessarily want to put a certain points tally or a certain amount of wins, because I think that's all sort of irrelevant. Realistically, what we need, and I like to just break things down and be basic, and what we need is we need to be available for all possibilities. We need to be in contention, in the table for anything. if a fifth spot for the Champions League is there, we need to be able to actually have the probability of getting there. And what I mean by that is, if it is confirmed that England's getting 5 places for the Champions League, well, we need to be like, if not 5th or 4th, we need to be 6th or 7th, and we need to be close, where that we can actually achieve that by the end of the season, where we're only maybe 3 to 6 points off of that. We need to fight and battle to make sure that we are there for the opportunities, and when they do arrive, then we take them. Like, again, this weekend, we need to go win, because I have a feeling one of the bigger teams, or a couple of the bigger teams, I think they're going to drop points. And I think we have to go win, because I think we're going to capitalize on that opportunity. And we're going to push ourselves probably into the top 4 after this week. If we win, we get 16 points. Brighton are one point behind us, and they're 1 place under us. If we win, we have 16. That's up to now whatever happens with City, Liverpool, Bournemouth, Chelsea, Tottenham, Sunderland, and Palace. Yeah. If any one of them, well, okay, besides Bournemouth, Liverpool, and City, yeah. So if Chelsea, Tottenham, Sunderland, and Palace, if they draw or lose, we jump them. All of them. If Bournemouth, Liverpool, and City lose, well, Liverpool and Bournemouth, we jump them if they lose and we win. If they draw, then we're tied on points, and we'll probably be under them, maybe because of goal difference. And then City, if they lose, will be tied on points, but they have a way higher goal difference, so they'll be above us. And then Arsenal are on 19 points at the top, yeah? So we're 6 points off of them. We need to stay in this contention. We're in 9th place, but we are 6 points off of first. That, to me, that is perfect. And this is why I was saying the position, especially, when you're not close to the end of the season, the position doesn't really matter too much, because we're in 9th. To say United's in 9th, you'd be like, that's not that great. But being 6 points off of first is very good, considering where we're coming from and where we've been for like the last 2 seasons. So we need to stick in this and capitalize on the opportunities. Too many times we've shit the bed and we failed to capitalize on an opportunity. Axe says, I demand the title this season, UCL the next season, no standards regression. Lyle says they call him Lemons boring in a very good way. The guy oozes calmness. Well, that's what I want. I don't care if I don't need him doing scorpion kick save. I need him to catch the ball, be calm, do his job, and look good. X says he needs to get us to win. We have been excusing him like we're... No, we're not. We shouldn't get crucified for him. The hell with him. We need to win constantly. Yeah, and you're talking about some other shit now that I don't really care about. So, no, I totally disagree with what you're saying. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. It's the way you say it, I guess. I don't know. I really don't know what to tell you. I mean, we all know that he needs to win. He knows he needs to win. He literally says it. You don't listen to him speak, so you don't get it. But, I mean, he literally says that. We need to win. So, we're not making excuses for him. He's not making excuses for himself. Nobody has made an excuse for him. Because an excuse is to say why something's happening and then say that it's okay that it's happened because that's happened. What we're saying is these things are happening because of this. They're not okay, but we have an understanding about it, and we need to give time for this shit to get fixed for it to come good. You demand instant results, it's never going to happen. And you're going to keep going through the cycle of demanding instant results, and you're going to ask for everybody to get sacked because nobody is going to be able to do what you're asking. It's literally quite impossible for the way that you want things to happen. It will never happen. No manager in the world. Um, and you don't like this guy. So, I mean, if Julian Nagelsmann came in, you'd be willing to give him 5 years. But if he did a similar thing, you'd give him 5 years. But because it's Rúben and you don't like his formation and his system and you don't like him, then he doesn't get the time. So, um, you know, I don't know. Like we literally, I don't know. Do you listen to the conversations we have? I've been here for 2 hours. I've been saying he needs to win. We need to win. He knows he needs to win. He said it in like 75 interviews that they need to win. He also said that like essentially nothing but the 3 points matter. So he knows that, and that's what he's aiming for, and that's what he's trying to do. And then we discuss, well, it's not like he doesn't know that. So, but we have issues at the football club. And how does one man get to fix those issues in a year or two when we've made 10 years of shit bad calls and our club is at the bottom of the barrel? It's not I'm not raging. So he could try and rage bait me, but he says these things and I let him say it because there's people, well, I let him say it because this is the platform where you can say these things, but I want him to say it because this is how I operate, yeah? It's not about rage baiting me. We're having a conversation. People watch it, and then they get to decide if they agree with Axe, or they agree with me, or they agree with Lyle, or they agree with somebody else. This is why I don't believe in banning people for having a say. I don't give a shit. As long as, you're not like racist or homophobic, you're saying something, very despicable. But I don't give a shit because I think people should be allowed to speak and they should be allowed to say things so that the masses can listen to it and they get to choose if this person is smart or not smart or they agree with that or not. And the people will decide. But no, this point of view, he's not the only one that says that. He might be one of the only ones in this community because we're very small and we don't have a lot of people. But I see the similar takes that he says. I see it online. So, there are United fans out there that say things like this. Now, I are they the mainstream? No, they're not. And are they like big accounts? No, they're not. But they're out there and people say them. And I think they should be allowed because I think people should be able to view different opinions and then decide what they agree with and what they think is right. So, Axes don't take me to heart. I am a joker from Jupiter. Well, it's very hard to determine Axe if you're joking or not because I'm reading words from a screen. Yeah, so I mean, if I could hear your voice, it'd be easier. But yeah, I can't. I come on here. I mean, it would help if you put like an emoji after it or something. Help me out. Help me out, Axe. Like, make a statement and put a laughing emoji. That way I know you're fucking around. So I don't take it too much to heart. Because I come on here and I try to have serious conversations about United. So I don't, when I'm doing the serious bit and you're cracking a joke, I can't tell that you're cracking a joke because I'm in serious mode. I'm having a real conversation. I don't mind if we have jokes and stuff like that. I can't tell when I'm reading. I can't tell because sometimes you're very serious and sometimes you're fucking around, which is fine. But I don't I can't tell from words, man. Like this is why I don't like texting. I don't like texting. I'd rather always call people on the phone. I don't like texting because you write a message to one person and you might say it in a sarcastic kind of funny way, and in your head it plays one way. They open the phone, they read the message, they read it, and they go, "What the fuck?" They're like, "Is he being for real? Is he being serious right now? Like, what? Why would he fucking say that? Like, So yeah, if you ever seen like a court case, you ever see that like one of those I don't even think I could really say it, but SA cases, figure that one out for yourself. I don't want to say the words, but not to like joke about them like that, but because they are serious. But like, if there's a discrepancy between two people and one person's trying to say that they made unwanted advances on the other person, Um, you know, if they when they read the messages, or it's like a transcript of the phone call, you got some guy reading it out. It sounds very bad when they read it out. Yeah, there's no context of the voice. There's no context of in the way they said it. There is a comedian. His name is Bill Barr, and he is a very funny. Bill Barr, Bill Burr. Sorry, Bill Burr. There's a guy named Bill Burr. Very funny bit on it, basically saying that he's reading out the messages in court, and he's standing up, and he's like, she didn't say it that way. She didn't say it that way. It's funny. So you kind of gotta. You should check it out. Ax, stop talking about Epstein. We're not talking about Epstein. And I'm getting out of here anyway because it's been 2 hours and 20 minutes, and there's the Champions League matches, and nobody's watching us because they're watching Champions League, and I want to go watch the Champions League as well, and I'm not watching it because I'm here. So, you can only fuck around, given how bad United have been. I can only fuck. Well, I guess so. I mean, I feel you on that. I mean, if you don't laugh, you'll cry. I guess that's what they always say. Yeah. So, I mean, I get it. I get it. But, do me a favor, please. I ask you with all sincerity. Help me out and try and make it more apparent when you're cracking a joke or not. I mean, I'll try and keep it in mind, but it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. Um, um, Ray says we need to rebuild on. We need to build on Liverpool win Saturday. Will tell us more about this team. Yeah, I definitely think 100%. I mean, that's what we've basically said the whole show. So, listen, we'll save more for tomorrow because I'm going to stream tomorrow. Friday, I don't think we'll be able to stream, unfortunately, because I just don't think it's going to be a good time in terms of I have work, and I won't be able to do the stream at the time I want to do the stream. So we're probably just going to skip Friday. Yeah. And so this is what's going to happen. I will do a stream tomorrow, since instead of Friday, I'm not going to stream Friday. We'll do a stream tomorrow. We'll do another one around this time, 7 p.m. BST. We'll do a stream, and then we'll skip Friday. We'll do Red Devil recap Saturday. Maybe possibly. What time is the match at? I need to check. Nah. All right. So we'll just do a Red Devil recap. I was thinking maybe if it was early enough, we'll do a double, but nah. They're gonna run into each other. So we'll just do a Red Devil recap. The match against Brighton. Hopefully, we'll be here celebrating a win and 3 wins in a row, and then no stream Sunday, and then we'll be back Monday. And I'm gonna start doing the shows. I'm trying to see if I should maybe. I might experiment, and I might try and do 2, shorten them up, and do them at 2 different times. I don't know. Maybe I do one earlier in the day, like 10 is what? 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Be like 3 p.m. British Standard Time, and then do another one later and make them like an hour each, so there's less things to talk about all at once, and we split it up and we get 2 different sort of shows at different times, because I want to experiment with different times as well. So we'll see. I'll announce them and everything, but yeah, no. So stream tomorrow, no stream Friday. Red Devil recap Saturday, no stream Sunday, stream back on Monday, and maybe for Monday, maybe I'll do 2. Maybe I'll do one early, and then I'll do one later on, like around the time this one started at like 2 or 3. And we'll see how they go. And we'll split them up. So we'll do kind of more streams, same amount of time, but it'll be split up, and we'll have like 2 for 1s in the day or something like that. Also, I'll probably debut this thing soon. I just need to try and get lights, because I'm trying to get it lit up sort of red, so I could kind of have like a red light background behind me because I think it'll look good. And I also need to hang up the 2 kits that I got to make it look better. I'm having a problem with the camera though. I am quite undecided. Because the camera, if I flip it so that my face looks normal and my hand movements are normal for me when I'm looking at it, so it's mirrored. You can't. Everything behind me will be flipped, so you won't be able to read it properly, like because it's going to be backwards on you. Um, but I might blur it anyway, so you know you're not going to see it all too much. I don't know. I'm just undecided, so um, I got to figure those things out. But Thirsty Thursdays. Yeah, we go. Read the book Nobody's Girl. By who? I mean, I'll look into it. Is it a good book? Is it a good book? Nobody's Girl. Nobody's Girl book. Nobody's Girl is a memoir of surviving abuse and fighting for justice. Is a memoir by advocate Virginia Guthrie. Oh, all right, I know her. About the abuse that she was subject to. All right, I see where you go. Well, fair enough. I mean, I probably check it out. But is that the one? Is she is she the one that she's no more? Do you know what I mean? Or is that a different one? Wasn't there one that was like speaking up and she got unalived somehow? By the way, I love the fact that we have to say the word unalive. I love the fact that society has come up with a term that we have to say on YouTube and other platforms because you can't say the other word, because if you say the other word, they will literally ban you or take your content down. So yeah, all right. Well, I'll check it out. I'll check it out. I like a good story / read, so I'll look into. I've heard of her. So but yeah, other than that, listen, we're gonna get out of here. Thank you guys for smashing the like button. Thank you for joining in and giving us your opinions and hanging out with me while I mean, I was supposed to do this for an hour, but I like the conversation. So you know, I was supposed to stop before the game started, but I just felt like after 40 minutes we were just getting into the real good part of the conversation, so I just kept it going. So shout out to all of you. I will just quickly, right before I get out of here, I'll just do a rundown of the matches right now for the Champions League. And Monaco and Tottenham are tied 0-0, 75th minute. Atalanta and Slavia Praha tied 0-0, 73rd minute. Chelsea are beating Ajax 5-1. Ajax have a red card, and it is the 70-some-second minute. Frankfurt are losing at home 1-5 versus Liverpool. Guess they saved all the goals for Frankfurt. So yeah, Bayern are winning 3-0 against Club Brugge. Real Madrid are beating Juventus 1-0, and Sporting and Marseille are tied 1-1, 75th minute. Marseille have a red card, so interesting stuff there. Liverpool, I guess, taking out their frustration on Frankfurt. Sucks for them. They could have kept the streak going, man. Frankfurt, you fucked it all up. You could have gave them 5 in a row, but not happening. But I mean, at the very least, the English clubs, you know, since we're not in it, I guess carry us to get us to 5th spot, because maybe we actually benefit from that. So Axe says good night and glazes out. Yep, good night and glazes out. We'll see you all tomorrow, 7 p.m. British Standard Time. Be there. Don't be late. Make sure you're in there, because it's going to be a better show, an even better show. So until then, we'll catch you later. Sweet dreams. Enjoy the rest of the Champions League final. the Champions League, the final minutes of the Champions League matches. And stay safe, be good. And again, shout out to all of you. Thank you for the support. See you later, Lyle. See you later, Ray and Axe, and Lucky. And Richard was here earlier. So, yep. Shout out to you.